going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. I hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight. Hope everyone's had a great start to the weekend. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Boy, oh boy, we got another tough week ahead of us. Week 12 of the fantasy season is coming up. We got less than 24 hours to prepare for what's going to be another wild week in the 2024 fantasy football season. We got injuries just piling up because why not? That is just the theme of this fantasy season. We got 6 teams on bye week, as we've heard all week. We're in the first of 2 bye apocalypses on the season, but the good news is next week no teams on bye. Then after week 14's bye-ocalypse, no more bye weeks. We're headed straight into the fantasy playoffs, which are right around the corner. Nonetheless, let's try and hone in on week 12 here. You know exactly what we need to do, ladies and gentlemen. Start them, sit them, live fantasy Q&A, waivers, trades, maybe if you still have trades going on in your league. Trade deadline has not passed, but anything you guys need, start, sits, roster reviews. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk some fantasy football tonight, as always. So, live fantasy Q&A, get in the chat. Let me know what you guys need. Let's have some fun. Let's talk some fantasy football. Okay, let's take a look at what we got for the day. And by the way, for anyone watching, I'm very behind on comments this week. I will get through all of the YouTube comments on all of the videos. And I feel like, especially in this type of week, it's best to answer the comments at the end of the week because I've had so many changes just in the last 24 hours. But I will get to all the comments on all the YouTube videos between tonight and tomorrow morning and get everything cleared. So do not worry if you have an outstanding comment on one of the videos. I will get to them. I promise. But let's take a look at what we got going on for the news. Okay. Brock Purdy's out because why not? Which this came up yesterday, but we're not going to have Brock Purdy playing this week. And I don't exactly know how to feel about this one. Like, it's already a tough matchup against the Packers. I know Jair Alexander is not playing, but the Packers are coming in 10th against opposing wide receivers. So, like, I don't exactly know what to expect out of Brandon Allen. I mean, he's played some games, mostly with Cincinnati. Like, this is a tough one, guys. I still think like Kittle, Jennings, Debo are startable, but I just don't know what we're gonna get. This is a really tough one to take a look at. And I think CMC, of course, is startable here, but I think this is going to be really interesting for everyone who thinks that Purdy's just a system quarterback, right? This is going to be maybe a little bit eye-opening, or maybe it'll just be fine, and maybe this, things roll along just fine here. But I am worried if I own a San Francisco 49ers wide receiver going into the weekend. I would say I feel the best about Jennings, but who in the world knows what's going to happen? This is going to be an interesting game between the Packers and the Niners here in Week 12. And Nick Bosa is also out in this game. I know that doesn't impact us too much, but it could impact like Josh Jacobs' run game a little bit here. So we'll see what happens. No Brock Purdy. Not good, but this is also a road game for the Niners. They lose this game, their season is in serious jeopardy. So we'll find out what happens. Jake Ferguson out with that concussion, as we discussed in this morning's video. Last minute waiver wire ads. Luke Shoemaker may be an option for you guys if you're struggling at tight end, but no Fergie this week. Devonta Smith is out. I don't think Devonta Smith should have played last week, but he did. He's obviously had the 2 down games. This was a good matchup for Devonta Smith. I was looking forward to him if he was healthy playing in this game because I think he could have bounced back and given you guys some confidence. Nonetheless, he has a good matchup in Week 13 against the Ravens, another good or decent matchup against the Panthers in Week 14. So when he's back, I think Devonta Smith will be fine. We'll find out. Isaiah Pacheco is out against the Panthers. So we talked about Kareem Hunt being a sneaky start going into the week, being the running back that I think that should have been started if both Hunt and Pacheco were healthy. But now Pacheco's out. Hunt is a must-start running back against the Panthers this week. Okay, Jonathan Brooks is going to play, but as expected, he's going to be eased in. On the flip side, in that matchup, Panthers running back room going up against the Chiefs. So Chuba's going to get the bulk of the carries. We've said this all week. We've said this basically leading up to whenever we were expecting, just like destroyed my mic, expecting Jonathan Brooks to get his first start. Like, you're not just going to take away all this volume from Chuba. So this is still a very tough matchup for Chuba Hubbard, as the Chiefs are giving up the fewest fantasy points to opposing wide receivers or to opposing running backs. But we'll see what happens. Malik Neighbors not practicing due to a groin injury. Pay attention to that one. That could pop up tomorrow. Danny Dimes got released. We can break that down as the stream goes on. And that should be everything since like Thursday, but just a lot of end of week updates that will impact your guys' fantasy rosters. So let me know what you guys need. Let's hop right into it tonight. Going to stream for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we'll just roll through it tonight, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Maurice, what's going on? Hello, good to see you. Mervin, what's going on? Good to see you. Full PPR, pick 2 to flex Dowdle, Downs, or more. Yeah. I want to avoid Rico Dowdle here. I would say that Rico Dowdle, to a degree, is startable. While the Commanders' defense has improved, they come in 20th against opposing running backs. So they're not like fantastic in terms of that run defense. But, Dowdle is startable if you got nothing there. But, in a PPR league, I will go with Downs and DJ Moore. They both have very good matchups this week. So, I know it was a little harsh on the Bears wide receivers in the start-sit video this week, but as the week went on, I'm a little bit more comfortable starting them. We look at Downs. The Lions are giving up the 29th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. When we look at DJ Moore and the Bears wide receivers, the Vikings giving up the 30th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. So they both have great matchups. I would take the matchups here. I'm going Josh Downs and DJ Moore. Armando, what's going on? Better option to start, Audric Estime or Amir Abdullah. I mean, this is one of those situations where like you just have to expect disappointment and kind of like trust your gut. I would argue that Amir Abdullah is the better start. I know Audric Estime has the matchup here. It is a bad matchup for. Let's just assume Abdullah is the starter here. I mean, really, it's just him and Dylan Lobb going into the week, right? And we might get a last minute surprise that Madison or Zamir White suits up. I don't think either's been. I'll double check here, but last I checked, I think Zamir White is listed as doubtful, not a good designation, right? And then Madison listed as doubtful, but like sometimes you might get like a last minute active status, but I don't think it's really trending that way, right? You never know, though. But yeah, let's just assume Amir Abdullah is a starter here. It's a tough matchup this week going up against the Broncos. The better matchup would be Estime going up against the Raiders, who are giving up the 26 most fantasy points to the position. And then I believe, let's see here, the Broncos come in. They've scooted back a little bit, 16th against the position, but yeah. The point being is we still have Javonte Williams in that backfield with the Broncos. So I feel like Amir Abdullah is going to get better opportunity. So for that reason, I'll go Amir Abdullah. But yeah, this is one of those situations you're like, cross your fingers, man. Frizzle, what's up? Who we starting this week? Roshan, Benson, Abdullah. Yeah, I would still argue Amir Abdullah because in theory, he's going to get RB1 volume here. He's going to probably get involved through the air as well. And like I just said, the Broncos have scooted back a little bit in that overall ranking against opposing running backs. So I'll go Abdullah, but I do like Trey Benson this week. I don't really like Roshan this week. It's a tough matchup. I don't think this is going to be one of those weeks where we see Roshan do a little sprinkle of something. I do think Benson is, I don't know. The thing with Trey Benson is like we've seen double digits in 2 performances, right? But then when we kind of break it down here, like He had the touchdown against Chicago, and like everyone, all the running backs scored in that game, right? And then the next week, like he just saw like more touches because they were stomping on the Jets, you know. So I kind of worry about the last two double digit starts, like if they were just due to game script there or game plan. But it is a good matchup this week against the Hawks. But I would go with Abdullah, but this is another one of those situations. Like it's not going to be very pretty. Mervin, start Gino or Richardson. I have Allen on bye. You know, on paper, it's not particularly a great matchup for Anthony Richardson, but I kind of prefer to just roll with the upside that he presents. We look at Gino, he gets the Cardinals, and this Cardinals defense, nothing to really sneeze at. They're kind of trending upward right now. And like he's just, I mean, 16.7 in week 11, 25 in week 9 with 3 interceptions, 9.08 in week 8, 17 in week 7, 14 in week 6. Like very inconsistent here. He is the QB 11 on the season. Like, I mean, I think Gino probably gets you a floor. The Seahawks are at home. I mean, they won last week, you know, but I'm just like, Gino's one of these quarterbacks that the floor is probably there, but the downs are like really low. The ceiling could be, I don't know. Gino's such a weird quarterback. It's close here. I think I would personally just cross my fingers on Richardson. I mean, the Lions are allowing the 6th fewest fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks, but like, is A Rich really one of these quarterbacks that we can, you know, use that ranking against because he also gets it done on the ground? But then again, the Lions are good against the run, but are they good against running quarterbacks? I mean, that's actually a question I'm kind of curious. Let's see. How many like rushing-esque quarterbacks have they faced? Stafford, Baker. I don't think I put them on the list. Kyler. What did Kyler do against them? I mean, Kyler had 15.7 points, 45 yards on the ground, averaged 9 yards per carry against them, but yeah, not a fantastic fantasy outing for him. Then they got Gino, Dak, Darnold, Rudolph or Levis. I don't even remember. An injured Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, and Mac Jones. So, like, really, they've only faced Kyler, and he had 9 yards per carry, but not a great fantasy day. So, it's just a tough evaluation, but I would take Richardson. But I think if you want the floor, you want less risk, I guess you go Gino, but Gino just hasn't really been super impressive as of late. Mr. Jones, we going MH Jr., Jennings, or Mondre. I think I go MH here. I think if Purdy was playing, I go Jennings, but I'll go Marvin Harrison Jr. here. Let's see. Seattle. Where does Seattle? Seattle comes in 21st against receivers. Yeah, come on. Let's go MH. First of all, I got Pop Douglas over Slayton. Not sure I trust Pop Douglas's matchup. Yeah, it's a tough matchup this week. I liked him last week as like a desperation flex who could come in, give you 10 points. I said it all week, and then he gave you 10.3 points. So yeah, you know, it's a bad matchup. Miami is definitely not a pass defense to sneeze at. 5th against wide receivers in fantasy. I would still start him over Darius Slayton, but I will say, I mean, you want to go matchup. Slayton's got the matchup. Tommy DeVito's throwing to him, but I talked about this in like the Sneaky Starts video, Streams video, and the Last Minute Waiver video. Like this matchup for DeVito and company is about as good as it gets. The Bucks are allowing the most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, they're 32nd. And then they are allowing the 28th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. So, I mean, hey, I goes Slayton. That's fine. The matchup's better. Maurice, who should I go with at tight end? Kate Otten or Johnny Smith? And what defense to go with? Eagles or Hawks? I would personally start Kate Otten. I do like Johnny Smith. I think like he's kind of in that category of just like he's a startable player. He's not really in the streaming category anymore, but he's got a tough matchup as the Patriots are allowing the 11th fewest fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Like I still think he's very startable in this matchup, but I would start Kate Otten personally. If I own Kate Otten, um, I don't see any reason to not start him. I think he's even with Evans coming back, like he's basically in that kind of must start category. I will say, in surprising fashion, the best team in the league against opposing tight ends, from a fantasy perspective, is the New York Giants. They've given up the fewest fantasy points to opposing tight ends, but I just find it difficult to trust or to bench Kate Otten. I don't find it difficult to trust him, but for what it's worth, Johnny Smith's matchup is better, technically speaking. I would probably start the Eagles. I I think it's interesting. I understand why the Seahawks defense is rolling in as a streaming option last second here, but I don't think I'm going to trust that. I just don't think I want to do that. But let's see. The Eagles, I mean, you have 6 or more fantasy points in every matchup since week 7. They're on the road. I mean, he was great last week. It wasn't as good the week before. He's a little up and down here, so they put together a good game plan. I mean, it could come to fruition, but and I'm sorry, I don't know why I was thinking of last week's matchup. Seattle plays Arizona. I would not no. 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 No reason to start Seattle. I was thinking of Green Bay. Um and Green Bay was already on our radar going into the week as they're the defense 8. But yeah, I would not touch Seattle. Yeah. What's the reasoning there? Am I missing something? I mean, they've had some sneaky performances this year. Week 1, 10 points, week 3, 15, week 5, 12, week 7, 16. But like none of those were really that sneaky outside of against Atlanta. They played Daniel Jones. They were the first team to play the Dolphins after Tua went down, and they played Bo Nix in his worst start of the year, where he had 2 interceptions in week 1. So, yeah, I don't trust them. All right, Jason at the bottom of the chat. Thank you for the super chat. Murray or Herbert? That's a good question. I'm going Herbert. I mean, I really like Kyler Murray right now, and I do believe that Kyler's in that category of like, you probably just start Kyler Murray every week and you roll with the punches. Although some of the punches have been pretty low this year. And I really like Kyler this week. It's a good matchup on the road against Seattle. But it's a better matchup for Herbert, and he is at home. So I'm going Herbert. I mean, 19 or more fantasy points in 4 straight starts. He's just been fantastic. At least 2 touchdowns in each of those 4 starts. 3 of those starts, 2 passing touchdowns in each, then one of them a passing and rushing. And the Ravens secondary has obviously struggled on the season. So this is a great spot for Herbert. I really do like Kyler this week, but I'm going Herbert. And I would say if you want a floor, go Minnesota. If you want some upside, go with Washington. They both made the must start defense video on the week. I would personally probably go Minnesota because I've watched a lot of NFC East games over the year. They get a little wonky. I go Minnesota, but I do like Washington if you want some upside for sure. Both made the video this week. So, but Herbert, I mean, it's really close there, Jason. Really close. Good questions. Thank you for the super chat. If you need anything else, let me know. All right, Corey, thank you for the super chat as well. Question and comments. Oh gosh, you mean like the real? Oh goodness gracious, I'll find it. It's gonna be tough. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, I will get all comments cleared before tomorrow's games. So if you guys are waiting on comments, I will get them cleared between tonight and tomorrow. Let me scroll through here because I've got a couple hundred comments to get to. So, um, and hopefully it shows the same username here. Let's see. All right. No, different Corey. Sometimes like the at name will be different. So I scrolled, double checked the chat and I didn't see anything. Um, wow, I got a lot of comments to get to. Let's see, getting there, getting there. Also, if you want to throw it at the bottom of the chat, if that's quicker, yeah, because I checked the comments here and I don't see your name. Um, so if you just want to retype it at the bottom of the chat, I apologize. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Corey. Start two in PPR: Bateman, Alec Pierce, Devon Vele, Nick Westbrook-Akini, Noah Brown, Amir Abdullah. Good question. Certainly one of those weeks where we're looking at some rosters moving into this type of direction. So I talked about a couple of these players in the sneaky starts video and in the last minute waiver video. So if I'm just looking at two of these players, I'm going Nick Westbrook-Akini and Alec Pierce. But if I was going to replace one of them, it would be Amir Abdullah. But I think in PPR, I would take the risk on those two wide receivers. You know, Alec Pierce in a good matchup against the Lions, giving up the 31st most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. He's had double digits in the last two games. Some of his best games on the season have been when Anthony Richardson is playing quarterback. He has had some good games with Flacco as well. But you know, Pierce is your wide receiver 18 on the season. The lows are very low, but at least the highs are double digits. I mean, these are all risky options. You have to expect disappointment with any of these options. But Nick Westbrook-Akini has a touchdown in every game since week 6, except for week 10 in a bad matchup against the Chargers. He has double digits in 3 of his last 4 matchups. And he also has a very strong matchup against the Houston Texans secondary. So I would just roll with those two guys. I mean, it doesn't feel pretty throwing it into your lineup, Corey, but I would roll with it. And if you dislike one of those two players, Amir Abdullah should be your next best option. Devon Vele is interesting, but I feel like he hasn't really shown any consistency. So, all right, Corey. Hopefully that got what you needed answered. If you need anything else, just throw it at the bottom of the chat. I will get through all the chat here. Thank you to those of you who sent some super chats there. All right, Sleepy. Is Rondell Robinson a decent start in Phil for Devonta because he's out? Yeah, I mean, I don't mind starting Rondell Robinson. I talked about this in the last minute waiver wire video as well, as he's like around 62% rostered. I think that his floor is there because he's facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and they are just atrocious against opposing wide receivers. So decent is one way of putting it. He did have a double-digit game last year with Tommy DeVito starting, so there's that. But yeah, it's just kind of tough to say like exactly what we're going to get out of this offense this week, and you know it will get interesting if Neighbors doesn't play. Armando, I'd just sit one of these running backs: Taylor, Kyron, Tracy, Chuba. I'd sit Chuba. Sit Chuba. He's facing the Chiefs. They're giving up the fewest fantasy points to opposing running backs. They are at home. You could also look at sitting Kyron Williams here. Kyron is at home as well. So the Eagles giving up the 5th fewest fantasy points to running backs. The Chiefs giving up the fewest. Number 1 against running backs in fantasy. So I would look at matchup here. I mean, JT's also got a tough matchup. The Lions, don't know off the top of my head, but I got it right in front of me. The Lions are 3rd. So, I mean, yeah, you got some bad matchups in here. Tracy's got the best matchup as the Bucs allow the 27th most fantasy points to the position. Yeah, I mean, you got some choices here, but I would probably bench Chuba. but close. Close, because Kyron's been pretty low, like, just around that floor the past 3 games, you know? Um, I think I'd bench Chuba, but, like, all it's gonna take is, one of these running backs to score and the other, one doesn't, and then that's the guy at the least amount of points, so it could go in a couple directions here, but I would just like, this is such a tough decision. Even if all these guys have good matchups, like, this is such a tough decision. So, um, I would say with the fact that we can look at matchups, I just take the player with the worst matchup and bench Chuba. Good question, though. Steven, what's up, man? Jaden Daniels or Kyler? I'm going Jaden Daniels. Like, I know a lot of people are like, I'm worried about Jaden Daniels this week. He's gonna like, I don't know what there is to worry about. Like, I get he's been playing at a lower ceiling. Some people are worried about the injury and everything, but the Cowboys allow the 28th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks, and the Commanders coming off of 2 straight losses. I think they're going to bounce back in a big fashion at home this week. And he just played arguably 2 of the best defenses in the league in Pittsburgh and Philly. So I think it's going to be much better this week for Jaden Daniels. I think we're going to see 18 plus points out of him. He's one of my must-start players of the week. So I do like Kyler a lot this week. Don't get me wrong. Good matchup for Kyler too, but I'm going JD5. Space Cadet, what is up? Jaden Reed, JMO, or Nick Westbrook-Akini? I would say if you want a floor, go Jaden Reed. He's still like, Jaden Reed is still a start player every week. If you want some upside, you can go Jameson Williams here, though. I think there's reason to start Nick Westbrook-Akini this week, but not when you got 2 names like this, you know. Colts are 19th against opposing wide receivers, and then the 49ers, I believe they're right in the middle. They're 13th, so close to the middle. But yeah, I would say for a floor, Reed, upside, JMO. Kyle, what's up, bro? Tua or Love? Who? I probably go Tua. I like J-Lo this week. I think J-Lo is just one of those quarterbacks that I'll roll with the punches on a weekly basis here, but I think I would take the matchup and go with Tua, as the Niners are allowing the 7th fewest fantasy points to the quarterback position, and the Raiders are allowing the 17th most. So I think I would go Tua, but I don't know. J-Lo just had a tough matchup against Chicago and still had 21 fantasy points, even with 2 turnovers in that game. So I would say, like, overall, I probably like Jordan Love more, but the matchup lies with Tua. I don't know if I answered that question. Love you too, bro. That's a tough one, Kyle. Savvy, what's up? Adunze or Myers? I would take the upside with Rome Odunze in a good matchup. I'll go Rome Odunze. Last time Myers played Denver, though, he had like 13 points. So, I mean, see. Trade help. Who can I try and trade for in the time being? JD, Kyler, or Gino? I mean, you can try and trade for any of them. It just depends on what you have to give. I would try and buy Jaden Daniels low. I mean, before tomorrow. I think he's going to have a good game tomorrow, so try and buy him low. I mean, I'm always looking to buy low, buy players at lower perceived value. I'm not doing trade videos anymore. Let me know if any, like, I thought the trade deadline was over, so I didn't do a trade video this week. I missed the trade videos already, but if you guys still want me to do trade content, I can. I thought for like 90% of people, the trade deadline was donezo, except for Dynasty. Armando, currently the Lions defense and the Cardinals defense a better option for the playoffs? I would argue so. I haven't even looked at exactly who. Let's see here. So the Lions will be playing Buffalo, Chicago, San Fran. They're on the road against Chicago, on the road against San Fran. I mean, for the playoffs, yeah. I mean, like, that's not a good stretch. 2 road games, 2 good offenses. Arizona will get Drake May, Bryce Young, Matthew Stafford. I'd rather start Arizona. Yeah, I'd rather start Arizona. Theo Johnson or Luke Schoonmaker asks Kevin. I would go Schoonmaker. I do think Theo Johnson is startable, but like we just once again, anytime we're seeing a quarterback in his first start on the season, we just don't know. We don't know what the chemistry, who he's going to prefer, all that stuff. I mean, the Bucks very bad against tight ends as well, giving up the 28th most points to tight ends. So, I mean, he's certainly an option. Washington has given up the 12th fewest points to the position. So, the matchup lies with Theo Johnson, but it's risky. Start Bo Nix or Jaden Daniels. I'm still going Jaden Daniels, and you guys know. Go back on the channel. You guys know that I was the one talking about Bo Nix before every channel started talking about Bo Nix. I am the true believer. Anyways, I do like Bo Nix a lot this week. I think he's a good start. But I would go Jaden Daniels. I'm really high on Jaden Daniels this week. We'll see what happens. But if you want to go Nix, he's a great start. Olrak, what's up, my guy? Ridley, Lockett, Waddle. Give me Ridley. Give me. I've been saying it for over a week or two. I would drop Jalen Waddle. I mean, when are we gonna have any confidence in starting Jalen Waddle? It's just it's done for me. Um, I mean, he's got week 15 is at Houston, week 17 is at Cleveland. Those are really the only good matchups on the year that I mean, I don't know. Like the last game we saw Jalen Waddle score a touchdown, he had 7.6 points. I'm done with Waddle on the season. Ridley had a touchdown call back last week. He was dealing with an illness throughout the week, but he's good to go. Um, he's got a good matchup against Houston this week, though. I would go Ridley. Jeff, Bucky Irving or Ridley in full PPR? Yeah, I would prefer Ridley in full PPR, but I think Bucky Irving's a strong start. I like Irving and I like Rachaad White a lot going into the week. The Giants have struggled against the running back position, giving up the 21st most points to the position. But I think Ridley in full PPR, very, very strong start this week. This could go either way. I'll say a floor if you start Bucky Irving, kind of the upside with Ridley. Nelson, should I trade Nico Puka or St. Brown for Chase? Guy has a buy for him and has no good backups. Gosh, what kind of league is this? How do you have? I mean, you got Nico, Puka, and St. Brown. And you can now potentially acquire Jamar Chase. I mean, like currently, are any of these guys outside the top like 6 or 7 wide receivers in fantasy? Um, I would trade Nico or Puka, and I think I would. I mean, I like listen. If you can get Jamar Chase, you get Jamar Chase. But I mean, like, it's like you're losing a good player no matter what, but you're still getting a better player. I think I would trade Puka, but it's very close there. Very close. And like, I mean, the thing with Puka, Nico, or Amon Ra is any of these guys could end up as a wide receiver one. Like they're good enough to surpass Jamar Chase on the season. So, I mean, Colin Nico was the wide receiver one before he got hurt, and I mean the big touchdown call back last week. Nico, I will say this: tough matchup this week against Tennessee. It doesn't really bother me. Great matchup in week 13 against Jacksonville. An inconvenient bye week in week 14. Bad matchup week 15 and 16. Good matchup in the fantasy championship. He gets Miami, Kansas City, Baltimore after the bye. So maybe due to schedule, Nico, but I would definitely keep St. Brown and like Nico and Puka are both going to be fantastic rest of the season. But if you can get Jamar Chase, go get Jamar Chase. Michael at the bottom of the chat, thank you for the super chat. And a half PPR Yahoo Work League. If Neighbors is out, start Waddle, Gus Bus, Singletary, or find someone off the waiver. I mean, certainly let me know who's out there on the waiver. I'm not starting Waddle in half PPR. I mean, no way. Gus Bus has a bad matchup. I'm not starting Singletary. I mean, geez. Who else is out? I'd probably find somebody else on the waiver wire. I'd rather start Amir Abdullah than any of these three players or Trey Benson. I mean, that's just disgusting. Maybe Singletary? I'm about to sneeze. I mean, like, I don't think I would start Singletary. I take that. I 100. I was just thinking like maybe like if you start Gus Bus or Singletary, you're like praying that they score a touchdown. Praying that you yeah, I would as Amir Abdul I'd rather start Amir Abdullah than these guys or Trey Benson. That's an awful situation. Booty or Noah Brown. I mean, I wouldn't start either of them. Like literally, like Craig at the bottom chat says Waddle is due. I mean, Waddle's been due all season long and hasn't done anything. But literally, I'm like, I know I just like completely pooped on Jalen Waddle. I try not to curse on stream. But like, yeah, maybe in this circumstance, I would just start Jalen Waddle because it's like none of these situations are good. So gosh, that's gross. I would not start Kayshon Boutte or Noah Brown. Yeah, I might just start Waddle and pray. And I hate Jalen. I hate Jalen Waddle. I hate him this week and the rest of the season. But I might just start him. But I mean, he has a good matchup. The Patriots are giving up the 24th most points to the wide receivers. So sure, I go Waddle. Oh gosh, I can't believe it. I mean, I feel better about like I think Waddle can get you closer to 7 or 8 points than Gus Edwards against the Ravens or Singletary, who's had like 5 or less points in his last 5 starts. So I think this is a circumstance I would start Waddle. Let's do the Waddle dance tomorrow. Let's do it. Thank you for the super chat, and please let me know if you need anything else. All right, trying to get through all the questions here, guys. Guys, you don't need to spam the chat. I will get through all the answers. Just try, or all the questions. Just try to be patient. If you want something answered right away, you can send a super chat. But outside of that, I go in order. Only way I can get through this here. All right, Orak, Herbert or Murray? So we got this earlier. I will go Herbert, but very close. I'm expecting a good week out of Kyler Murray for sure. But yeah, I'm going Herbert. He's at home. It is a better matchup. It's still a good matchup for Kyler. Don't get me wrong against the Hawks, but I'm going Herbert. I'm going Herbert. Eric, Theo Johnson or Sanders? They both have good matchups. I think I would go Sanders just because, like, we know that Bryce Young might throw to him. You know, with Johnson, it's like we don't exactly know what the volume's going to look like with Tommy DeVito at quarterback, but they both have good matchups. I think I would go Sanders, but it could really go in either direction. Trail, Downs, JMO, or Johnston. I mean, I like all three of these players. I think, man, if Lad McConkey doesn't play, I might go QJ here. But I would go Josh Downs overall, but these are all great starts. All players that can outscore each other. I would start Josh Downs as the safest start here, but I do like all three of these players this week. Never had it so good. Waddle, Westbrook, Keeney, or Abdullah. I'd probably go Westbrook, Keeney. But I will say, like, I know I have talked about Nick Westbrook-Ikhine for a couple weeks. And it's just funny because I remember getting a comment like, no, nobody's ever gonna pick up Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, and now everyone's like viewing him as an option in the Biocalypse, right? but just be prepared. Like, I know it's a tough week, guys, but be prepared to expect some disappointment. Like, Nick Westbrook-Akini had one really big play last week, and I know he's had multiple touchdowns the past couple weeks and everything, but just prepare for disappointment. If you start Amir Abdullah, still prepare for disappointment. I like, just based on opportunity alone, I might go Amir Abdullah in this circumstance. Tough. Shoemaker or Sanders, I would personally risk Shoemaker, but Sanders is fine. I don't think there's going to be like, we're looking at Theo Johnson, Shoemaker, Jatavion Sanders. Like, I don't think there's a huge gap in how many points we're going to get here. Might have to add Kincaid on the trade, but I do have Hawk and Taysom Hill. I literally already forgot what this trade was. I don't think I've seen that. Or is a trade lower? Let me know what the trade is, Nelson. I don't see it. Johnny, what's up, man? Kyler at the Rain or Baker? I mean, I think Kyler's still perfectly fine to start. I have not looked at the weather report, which I should probably do. It's a good reminder. Did tell you guys, don't start the Browns and Steelers players if you can afford to. Especially don't stream Jameis Winston. And Jameis played fine, but not from a real life perspective. Or, I mean, from a real life perspective, not from a fantasy perspective. Anyways, we've seen some of these weather games actually catch up to us a bit. But it looks, yeah, so 61% chance of rain for the Cardinals Seahawks game. That's it. That's it. That's the only rain game. It's supposed to be cold. Light winds. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm going to panic too much there, but I'll say the floor is with Baker, the upsides with Kyler. Jumped. Start two Flowers, Jennings, Ridley, Reed. I would personally. It's just so tough. Like, I think there's risk now with Jennings because we don't exactly know what we're going to get from the quarterback position. So I think I would start Reed and Flowers, but we'll see what happens with Jennings. Jonathan, is Swift going to play? Let's double check our latest update. My update might not be any better than yours. He's still listed as questionable. Dealing with a groin injury. He practiced fully on Friday, should be ready. So, yeah, it looks like he's going to play, but this is a tough matchup for Swift, so bear that in mind as well. Johnny, what's up? Start two. Happy PR. Evans, Moore, Ramondre. I would go Evans and Ramondre Stevenson, as DJ Moore has had very little touchdown upside on the season. He had 2 touchdowns against Carolina, 1 against the Rams, and that is it. 3 tutties on the season. It is a good matchup for him. Don't get me wrong. So this could be a good week for him, but yeah, I'll go Evans and Stevenson. Aaron Rodgers going to play. Well, they're on bye week this week, so no. But yeah, it looks like the trend is moving towards Rodgers is going to hit IR and sit out the season because what a disaster. Just what a disaster. Where do you think Daniel Jones ends up? I mean, we've seen all kinds of names thrown out here. The Niners, the Cowboys, the Jets. Like we've seen all kinds of names thrown around for teams here. Who knows? Who knows? The Niners make some. I did see a report that he does want to go to a playoff contender. I mean, the Niners technically right now aren't a playoff contender, but I mean, the Cowboys are definitely not. So who knows, man? Who knows? It's all going to be smoke and mirrors until it happens. Jason, we're starting Hurts, Connor, Dobbins, Brown, JJ, Otten, Jones, Bucks, Bates. You got Jennings, Kittle, JMO, Cardinals defense. I think your lineup's fine. I still think Kittle could end up having a good week. It's just so tough when we have, quarterback who hasn't played on this team just come in like this. No, I think your lineup's fine. I mean, you could flex JMO over Aaron Jones. It's um not not the best, not the worst matchup for Aaron Jones, and he saw a little bit less volume. I mean, the Bears are 18th. That is it's not bad, but it's not great. Against running backs, that is. So you could go JMO if you want some upside. Jones had a little bit of a lower ceiling past week or so. Cam Akers got a little bit of involvement. Armin, we got Disley, Auden Abdullah, or Debo. I think I would still start Debo like over a Raiders third string running back and two tight ends. I think I would still start Debo. And then I would probably go Kate Otten. I do really like Will Disley. He does have a great matchup here. He is like a flexible tight end, but I'll go Otten due to volume and then Debo. You're welcome, Maurice. Ghost Hunter, what's up, my guy? Kate or Jonu? I'll go Kate Otten. Richardson or Gino? We got this one earlier. I'll go Richardson, but close. Taylor Gang, what's up, bro? I'm depending on Crafton or Superflex League to beat Ben. How should I feel? 50-50. If he scores a touchdown, you're going to be happy. If he does not score a touchdown, you're not going to be happy. That's just been the trend with Tucker Kraft so far on the season. And the Niners allowing the sixth fewest fantasy points to tight ends. So, I mean, he's just been tough to trust. Chicago was a really bad matchup last week. And yeah, he only has double digits in games where he has scored a touchdown. Every other game this season, he has single digits. So 50-50 shot. But good luck. I hope you beat Ben. Corey, start 2, PPR, Bateman, Pierce, Vele. Oh, we got this one earlier. Blue Knockout. What's up? Two wide receivers in a flex. DK Downs, Reed, Flowers, Ridley, Dobbins. Yeah, plenty of options here. I would still roll with DK. I mean, he's that guy. You got to roll with DK. I would start Downs due to matchup. The last one could really go in any direction here. I would personally start Jaden Reed, but I wouldn't be surprised if Flowers or Ridley or Dobbins outscore Jaden Reed, but I would go with DK Downs and Reed. They've been the best overall on the entire season so far. So I would roll with those three, but yeah, I mean, any of these players can outscore each other. Cats, what's going on? Good to see you, homie. Good luck this week in any leagues that you're playing me. Full PPR. We got CD, JSN, Kenneth Downs just starting 2. I mean, I think I'm still starting CD Lamb. My only concern last week was like a last minute injury designation that was going to keep him out. And then he was playing Monday Night Football. That's why I talked about it on Sunday morning's video last week. But the week before, I said start CD Lamb, and then he had 8.4 points, but that was against the Eagles. I do like the Commanders' defense this week, but and they have improved against wide receivers, but they're right in the middle, 16th. So I'm going CD, and I think I'm going Downs, but this is tough, man. Like I talked about JSN in the must start video. I still really like Kenneth. I mean, what kind of position, what is this team, Cats, that you have these 4 guys that you have to pick 2? I mean, I think I go Downs and CD, but JSN been balling. Kenneth is also always great. So very tough here, man. Taylor, thank you. Sorry. I should feel like I should say something more than that, but glad you're here, bro. Tucker Craft killed me with a goose egg. Yeah, it was a bummer. Legend of Trey. Would you start Tracy over Hunt? Ooh. Man, this feels like a big Kareem Hunt week, but I really like me some Tyrone Tracy. I think I would take the matchup with Hunt. Not to say that Tracy has a bad matchup, but I'll take the consistency, so to speak, out of the Chiefs offense over. We just don't exactly know what we're going to get out of the Giants offense this week, but they do have some good matchups here, right? I will go Love over Mahomes. Like, I think a lot of people are looking at this like, oh, it's the Panthers. Like, let's just start every Chiefs player and they're all going to be great. And like, I think they'll all be good, but let's see where the Panthers, they're giving up the 26th most points to quarterbacks, so it's certainly not bad. The Niners are 7th. I mean, it kind of have to ask yourself the question, like, do you see this being a week where like the Chiefs come back off of a loss and just go absolutely crazy against the Panthers, like a lot of people are expecting, or are you going to kind of level yourself and view it maybe a little bit differently here? The matchup lies with Mahomes, but Love has been the better fantasy quarterback on the season. All right, let's see. Amir Abdullah, Debo, or Dobbins asks T-Man. I'd probably go Dobbins, but Debo's still very startable here. Hawkinson or Disley? I'm going Disley. I'm very concerned about TJ Hawkinson. Like, I don't think that TJ, like, his projections are like high, and it's like a lot of people are like, oh, we just start Hawkinson like no matter what. Like, he had 15 points against one of the worst teams in the league against opposing tight ends in the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the more concerning thing is he was only on the field for 46% of snaps in that game. He was on the field for 45% of snaps in week 9, then 48% of snaps in week 11. Like, he's not on the field a ton. So I that is of concern to me. Like, Johnny Munt is still getting some snaps out there, and Josh Oliver is on the field a lot as well. So, you know, or I mean, he's been a little bit banged up, but still. So I am worried. Then it's a bad matchup against or against the Bears. So I'm going Disley. I'm going Disley for sure. Trash talking Tommy DeVito and Westbrook Akini in your lineup is wild. I know. So when I did trash talk, they were not in my lineup. But yeah, that's a tough situation this week. And I did go back and correct my trash talk, did I not? But yeah, I got in both the Superflex Dynasty leagues for the Catch Fam. In one league, I have Burrow, Purdy, and Prescott. So I'm starting Cooper Rush and DeVito. Like, I don't really feel like I got Chase Brown on bye week. I got T. Higgins, Darnell Mooney, MVS on bye week. Like, I don't really have a player who I can throw in and might be better than a backup quarterback. Then in the league you're referring to, I have Burrow, Purdy, and Rodgers. So, yeah. And then on my bench, like, I got Pacheco. He's not playing. I got Rico Dowdle. I got Adam Thielen, Demarcus Robinson. So I'm starting Westbrook Akini in the super flex spot and Tommy DeVito against you. And I know you're scared. Like, I know this is just you coping here. I know you're scared. And then Tommy right here. Yeah, Tommy's my other opponent this week who gets the backup quarterbacks in DeVito and Cooper. So I know you guys are scared. I know you guys are sitting here scared of those lineups. So you can admit it. It's fine. But should be good. Good matchups. Never had it so good. Stafford, Cutlets, or May? I mean, I think May and Stafford have the safe floors here. Neither of them have good matchups here. So that's kind of what you have to consider. The Eagles are giving up the 5th fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks. And then when we look at Drake May, the Dolphins giving up the 3rd fewest. So it's like the floor is probably there. Like, I would say one of those two quarterbacks has a chance to finish with like under 10 fantasy points, and the other one probably in a good game gets you like 16 points, or maybe one of the defense blows. I don't know. But Tommy DeVito's got the matchup. Take that with a grain of salt. Shy 1, DJ Moore, Rome, Chuba, sit 1. See, I'd feel kind of weird going into the week with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze in my starting lineup. Like, I'd probably diversify and go Chuba Hubbard here, but Chuba is the player with the bad matchup here. The Chiefs are giving up the fewest fantasy points to running backs, and the Vikings are 30th against wide receivers. So I'd probably go DJ Moore and Rome, but I feel weird about it. Grant, what's up, my guy? You got Barkley, Stevenson, starting running back, then Hill and Debo in my flex. It's a double flex league. Who do I pick? Dell, Irving, Myers, Dobbs, Worthy. Um, Bucky Irving? I go Bucky Irving. I mean, frankly, oh, it's Tyreek Hill. I was gonna say, wait, Justice Hill? Yeah, I go Bucky Irving. I mean, just a safe floor, good start, good matchup. I do like Xavier Worthy the next best, but he got Bucky Irving. Go Bucky Irving. Michael, love the show and thank you. Of course, thank you, bro. Uh, in Dynasty PPR, who should I start? Johnson, Abdullah, or Noah Brown? It's Quentin Johnson, no doubt. Quentin Johnson is a great start this week, guys. We said it a lot in Tuesday night stream, right? Like, it's a great matchup. The Chargers passing game looks great. They're at home. Like, he's a lock for double digits, safe floor. I do actually like him more if Ladd McConkey plays, but Ladd McConkey's now questionable going in that matchup. Like, maybe that opens up even more opportunity here. So QJ for sure. All right, Falcon Fantasy Football, what's up? Would you start White or Kyron at flex? I would personally start Rashad White. I still think Kyron is very startable, but we have to kind of tamper our expectations against this Eagles defense. They've just really improved overall, and they are a little scary. So, he's still like one of these players that is just like you almost never bench him, but the Eagles giving up the 6th fewest fantasy points to running backs. I talked about him in the potential bust video, which is a new video because I didn't do a trade video this week. But Kyron has 11.2 or less fantasy points in 3 straight games, and this is his worst matchup out of that stretch. So I still think he can get you like 10-ish points for sure. He hasn't scored in a couple games, but Rashad White's got the matchup here. HA and Connor, my running backs. I don't know what move I should make. I would start Rashad White, but like, am I going to be surprised if Kyron does good things? No, but the matchup lies with White. All right, Derek. Otten or Disley? See, I still want to go Otten. I still want to try. Like, I'll say Otten has the floor. The upside lies with Disley. Downs or Pollard? I'm going Downs. I don't like the matchup for Pollard this week. His volume's been a little bit lower. His ceiling's been a little bit lower. Downs has got the matchup, and Downs is a player at this point in the season. Like, we can consider, like, you're looking at wide receiver 2, you're looking at your flex spot, you're in a 3 wide receiver league, a double flex spot league. Downs should be a locked in starter. Like, I mean, he's a wide receiver 20. He has double digits in every start this game except for week 7 against Miami and week 3 against the Chicago Bears. So we're looking at the Bears and we're looking at the Dolphins. The Bears are giving up the fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. The Dolphins are giving up the 5th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. So, yeah, I mean, Downs have been. Michael, thank you for the super chat at the bottom of the chat. And full wait, FFPC. I don't know what FFPC is. I was trying to figure it out. I was going to start saying things out loud, but just let me know in the chat. Noah Brown, Abdullah, or Josh Palmer. I mean, I think due to situation, potential volume here, I'm going Amir Abdullah. FFPC. Fantasy first points conversion. It's a high stakes league. Oh. Yeah, I go Abdullah. I mean, like, he should be the RB1 tomorrow. The Broncos have moved a little bit back against the position. Noah Brown had 1.4 points last week, 6.3 the week before. I mean, he could, of course, like Kevontae Turpin had the big game. Sorry, I'm getting my teams matched up. You know, like, he could do something against Dallas, sure, but like, I don't want to trust that happening now. Maybe like if Ladd McConkey doesn't play, we get something more out of Josh Palmer, but 4.6 or less points in 2 straight games, like, and the problem is he plays Sunday night, so it's like, or Monday night, so I don't want you waiting to see if Ladd doesn't play. I would just start Amir Abdullah. Tough week. Nelson, I made plenty of trades. Yeah, I mean, that's stat. If you're going to add Chase to that team, I mean, truthfully, I think you could trade any of these players for Chase, but I would try to keep St. Brown. And like, I'd probably try to go Nico St. Brown Chase, but I still really like Puka. Armando, Worthy or Myers? I think Worthy, like this is a good matchup for Worthy against the Panthers. So I probably would go Worthy, but it's very close here. And Worthy can always bust. Who knows? Booty or Noah Brown? Oh, sorry, we got to this earlier. Do the waddle dance tomorrow. Would you start Jennings still with Purdy out or Roma Dunze? I mean, I do like Roma Dunze this week. Like, I think Roma Dunze is very startable, but I don't quite think he's in the caliber of I would start him over Jennings. So I'll go Jennings here. Close. Nelson, we got Lamar, Kamara, Chase, St. Brown, Nico, Hill, Puka, Connor, Jennings, Hawkinson, Kincaid, Rico Brooks. Had a good draft, traded like crazy. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, you get Chase, you're in a good spot. I mean, you're already in a good spot. So Freddie, with Purdy out, would you go Jennings or Reed? Thank you. I will keep it up. I'll go Reed, but it's close. It's close. I'm trying to look at your avatar. Is that what we call that? It's a little comic book. Looks cool. Quentin Johnston or Myers with 2-point bonuses for 40-yard pass / catch. Quentin Johnston. Yeah. Quentin Johnston. Just ignore the noise of the extra points. The better start is Quentin Johnston, so I think he gives you a better chance for those added bonuses. Would you trade Kelsey, Tracy, and Hunt for CMC and Bowers? Ooh. Probably. I don't know what Hunt's value will be weeks 15 through 17. You're 10-1. If you're 10-1, then yeah, I'd probably do it. I mean, when you're making kind of a big trade like this, don't let me be the final indicator, but I would strongly consider this for sure. For sure. I mean, if you get Bowers, like, I mean, you're not starting anyone else at tight end. Like, Kelsey's fine. You know, I've been kind of saying for quite some time, like, I haven't been down on Kelsey this season, but Bowers, yeah, like, come on. He's already had his bye week too. So, like, you just got to sit and forget regardless of matchup. Then CMC's your RB1. I do really like Tracy. But you don't have anyone else to trade. I was going to say, if there's any way you can kind of shake this around and move Tracy around. I mean, this is a great trade for you. But the only thing that makes me kind of like, well, let's just stop and think for 1 second is like you have very little volume at running back, but I mean, Pacheco is going to start to take those touches. I would do the trade. I mean, you're 10-1. This is the type of trade you do when you're 10-1, right? It's a good trade. Ace, what's good, bro? And a pinch start JT Sanders, Brooks, or Vele. So not JT, Sanders, Jatavion Sanders, Brooks, or Vele. Don't start Brooks. Don't start Brooks. I would start Vele. But I wouldn't feel good about it. I don't think you do either. Robbie, what's going on, man? Should I trade Hill, Sutton, Brian Robinson for Bijan and JK? Ooh. Have Lamar, Robinson, Stevenson, Nico, CD, Hill, Kittle. I mean, I guess my question is what's your record and what are your bench players? Because, like, I mean, it's not a bad trade. You're getting Bijan. But I don't know that I'd do this trade. Because Brian Robinson is still going to be very startable. Like, you get a big upgrade at running back, obviously. But you're losing some. Like, Hill and Sutton are startable. You know? So you're losing wide receiver depth here for sure. They're like, I'm not overly concerned about J.K. Dobbins, but he is losing a little bit of volume, and it's close. It's close. I'd want to see the full roster first. Devin, what's good, bro? Does Underdog use standard or PPR scoring for pick'em numbers? They use half PPR. So if you're looking at pick'em numbers, I mean, the only thing that would be relevant to fantasy scoring would be if you see a player, like if you go on Underdog, which, by the way, if you guys are new to Underdog Fantasy, you can sign up with promo code TheCatch. That link is down below to get a free NFL Pick'em for Week 12, as well as a 50% deposit match up to $1,000 when you sign up for the first time on Underdog with promo code TheCatch. You guys know how many times I've said that this season? Every video. Okay, so yeah, if you go on Underdog, the only thing that's relevant to fantasy scoring is, I just want to make sure this is clear. Okay, I guess Richardson doesn't have a line. So, yeah, you'd have to find a player. So you look at Gibbs, right? His fantasy points are at 14.35. That's half PPR. So if you hit this little button next to it where the I is, it's going to break that down, the actual scoring format here. So that's where you see receptions are half of a receiving, or half of a fantasy point. I'm sorry. Then everything else is pretty much just what you would get out of a standard or full PPR league. Passing touchdowns are 4, in case you're wondering. And Anthony Richards did have one. Yeah, passing touchdowns are 4, receptions are 0.5, half PPR. But like anything else is just normal. Like, so I just want to make, there's no confusion. Like, all these other numbers are not going by half PPR or standard or anything like that. These are just straight up numbers that they have to hit on the game. But where you see the fantasy point line, it is half PPR. So there you go. Hopefully that helps. Oh, for fantasy points. Yeah, I guess. Okay. I just want to make sure I didn't see that part, but could have been a lot more of a simple answer, but that's okay. Alec Pierce on waivers. Do you like him more than Westbrook Akini or Abdullah? I mean, I think he's just as much of a startable player as Westbrook Akini or Abdullah. So you really got to ask yourself the question, but they're all startable. Tough choices. Should I trade Jennings with Purdy injury for Pollard? You got Pacheco, Monty, Brooks, Benson, Puka, Smith, Jennings. Nah. No. I mean, it's a tough week this week. Smith is out. So you're going Puka, Jennings, Monty, Benson, flexing Vele. Like, I could see why you would do this. Sucks Pacheco's not back for you, and Brooks is not startable, but I don't think I'd do it. Jennings at his ceiling, not including the Rams game, still much more valuable than Pollard. With a healthy Purdy, he'd be at that ceiling, right? Terry, JSN or Bucky? In full PPR, I'll go JSN, but I really like Bucky this week. Otten or Disley? Ooh, they're very close. The floor is Otten, the upside's Disley. Jason, thank you, bro. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Jonathan, thank you. That was an intense sneeze. Michael Johnston. Noah Brown, had to decipher that one. Abdullah or Dowdle. Quinn Johnston, easy. Quinn Johnston's a great start this week. Neighbors or Downs. I will go. They were both in the must start video. Ooh. Downs for a floor, Neighbors for upside risk. I think if Neighbors wasn't on the injury report, I would just go Neighbors, though. But I like both a lot this week. Quentin Johnston or Debo? Quentin Johnston. Debo's still startable, though. And like Debo pops off, don't be surprised. I mean, that's what Debo does. But I would say the floor lies with Quentin Johnston. If you want to go for a little bit of upside here and risk, that is exactly what Debo does. Cats, Anthony Richardson making a comeback on mine, yours, and Pete's bet. Also, Hunter Henry has more points than Kincaid. Actually, I will say the Hunter Henry one, I think you're going to win for sure. For sure. Henry and Drake May are like best buddies. So I think you got that one in the bag. What he had Kyler, I had J-Lo. Is it that close? I know J-Lo's been hurt. So J-Lo's at 150.8. A Rich is at 101. So I mean, yeah, this is possible. He could hit that. Kyler's at 182. We'll see, but yeah, I think you got the Henry one in a bag, my guy. Craig says, like the stream, fam. Thank you. Hit the like button. Adventures from the Queue, full PPR. JT, worried about matchup and AR poaching TDs or Irving? Yeah, so there are a couple of running backs I was close in the bust video talking about. I mean, trust your gut. I think your gut feeling is go Bucky Irving. He has the matchup here, but it's just tough to bench Jonathan Taylor. It is. Taylor, what's up, dude? Flowers or Rashad White? Ooh, I mean, I like both this week. I do. I know it's not like a perfect matchup for Flowers. Chargers are in the middle there, 15th against the position. He didn't really have a great game last week. Like he had 6 targets, 2 grabs. He just had that touchdown grab, 11.9 points. So I get it. I'll say this: Rashad White in the must start video, and we talked about Bucky Irving. Flowers not. I liked Flowers, but it's a problem with Flowers. Like he just popped. It's just hard to predict when he's going to. And this is theoretically a game where the Ravens are going to be kind of forced to throw the football because the Chargers are going to be able to throw the football. And the Chargers better against the run than the pass. So that's a tough one. I think in a vacuum, I go White. FFPC is a fantasy pro. I tried to say it while yawning. Championship, Titan Premium. Westbrook Akini or Vele? I would start Westbrook Akini personally. But could go either way. Who is a better floor, Irving or White? I mean, White. I'm going to argue White, but it's like, I mean, it's so close. It's so close. We look their last 4 starts. White 29.1, 15.7, 12.5, 19. Bucky 16.7, 15.1, 6.4, 17.7. So higher ceiling for White and no single digit performance. But really, White he had 12.5 against Kansas City. Didn't really have a good game. He just scored the touchdown on like a sweep or something. I know it wasn't a sweep, but outside zone. They're literally like they're neck. I mean, Irving's the RB28, White's the RB29. I talked about that in the must start video. Like, I mean, these guys are just neck and neck right now. Great rest of season schedule outside of week 15 against the Chargers. These guys are in your starting lineups the rest of the year. Giants, Panthers, Raiders, Cowboys, Panthers again outside of week 15 against the Chargers. And even then, you're probably still starting them. So the floor is very close. Already qualified for the playoffs. Looking for the best upside wide receiver for the playoffs. Back to the Chase trade. Chase is the best wide receiver, period, in fantasy. So are we just talking like if we're talking playoff, you talking playoffs? We're talking playoffs. Nico has the worst schedule out of that bunch, but he does end with a banger against the Ravens in week 17, which will probably have playoffs indications in real life. Glitch mod, Disley or Kittle? The trend right now is with Disley. Good matchup. Healthy quarterback. coming off a big game. Kittle coming off an injury. Not that it matters. He does that all the time. Bad matchup, backup quarterback. But Kittle is the tight end 2 on the year, so don't be surprised if he balls out. Benson or Abdullah. I think I'll go Abdullah because I think there will be more opportunity, but I do like Benson as a risky desperation play. Andrea, hello. Hello. What's up? Who's above Quentin Johnson? Nobody. QJ is a wide receiver 1 this week. Josiah, what's up, man? Should I start Kittle or Otten? Yeah, I mean, in standard, that makes it a little bit more interesting because I think the volume's still going to be very high for Cade Otten. But in a standard league, like, that makes things a little interesting. I think I'm going to go Kittle in this situation because the Giants are still giving up the fewest fantasy points to tight ends. The Pack, 21st against tight ends. I think I go Kittle here. Like I think Kittle's got a better chance to score a touchdown. I'll put it that way. Should I start Otten or Disley? Like in full PPR, I'd probably still go Otten, but it's close here. The matchup's better for Disley, but I still think Otten's going to have a good game. That one's very close. Andrea, Johnny Smith, Ertz, Goddard. But these are all good starts. These are all, I think these are all players that have progressed out of the streaming category. Like, I think these are all just startable tight ends. But Goddard's got the best matchup, and Goddard's got 3 really good matchups coming up, and like he's just in that area of like you just start Goddard. So I would take, especially with Devonta out, give me Goddard, but these are all solid starts. Anyone here could outscore each other. Michael, Dell or Abdullah? I want to say Abdullah. I'm just worried about Tank Dell. I talked about it in the bus video. I mean, Dell just hasn't like really been that guy. And the Titans, 4th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. So, I mean, it hasn't been there. 7 targets in week 11, 9.8 points. 9 targets in week 10, 8.3 points. Week 10, good game script. Last week, not really a good game script, but like the Texans didn't really pull away towards like until like the 3rd quarter. So I want to say Abdullah, but would I be surprised if Tank Dell outscores Abdullah? No. That's tough, man. Jonesy, we got Goddard or Pollard in half PPR. Ooh. What's up, Jonesy? Good to see you, bro. I'm a little worried about Pollard. He also made the bus video. Texans run defenses, I mean, they're good, man. They're for real, giving up the 5th fewest points to the position. And Pollard hasn't been as involved the past 2 weeks. Like, the game plan for Will Levis has been better in the past 2 weeks. Pollard only has 9 touches on the ground in the last 2 games. He does have 4 targets in his last 2 games. 4 catches. Week 10 is what was the real reason he had 10 fantasy points. Last week, he had just 4.9 fantasy points, just 2 catches. He was very inefficient last week on the ground, albeit against the Vikings, but the Texans run defense also very good. And this is a road game for the Titans. I'm going to go Goddard. And I think Goddard could score. I mean, the Rams struggle against tight ends, so let's go Goddard. What do you think? Bo Nix or Tua? You already know the answer. It's Bo Nix, baby. I'm getting a Bo Nix jersey at the end of the season. Tua is a good start this week, though. But I seriously, I go Bo Nix. Taylor, Neighbors plays. Are we concerned with production with Dominic Gutlitz and a groin injury? Have in my lineup now. but Flowers and White are both on the bench. So I think you got to ask yourself that question. Make sure you're trusting your gut here. I'm less concerned about Tommy DeVito at quarterback as I am concerned about the groin injury. So Flowers and White make it interesting, especially because I like White a lot this week. But I did have Neighbors in the must start video for a reason. Like this is a perfect matchup for him. Um, that's a 1 o'clock game. So we should know in time before the rest of the games kick off what to do here. Or I guess I should say if Neighbors is going to play. It's such a good, like, he could be limited and the Bucks secondary is that bad that like he could have a big day. I think if I own Neighbors and he's healthy, I'm still starting him, but trust your gut, and I'll say out of Flowers and White, I lean Rashad White. So it that's tough, bro. Like, if you just had kind of like mediocre, whatever, not great options on the bench, but Flowers and White are both guys who can, have 20 fantasy points, 15 fantasy points. So I think if Neighbors is healthy, I'd start him, but concerned is fair. Yeah. Yeah, I know Spears is out. I'm worried about Pollard right now, man. I don't feel great about it because even last week, if we really just looked at the past 2 weeks, so like week 10, right? Tajay had 7 touches, 3 targets, 3 catches, 10 points to Pollard. This past week, Tajay had 3 targets, 2 catches, 3 touches on the ground. And it doesn't like I don't really think we need to look at any other matchups or whatever because Pollard has produced in just about every other matchup. Like week 7, he had a bad game. Tajay didn't play, excuse me. Week 3, he had a bad game. And Tajay did have a good game that week, but Tajay hasn't been like a huge like Tajay had 11 points in week 4. Pollard had 18. Like Tajay hasn't really impacted him too much. So it doesn't worry me a ton. More worried about the matchup and game script there. Sport Dog, what's up? I have Disley and Otten. I've gotten this one a couple times tonight. I'm using Disley, my tight end. I have 2 flex spots. I'm using Dobbins and Johnston. Would you slip Otten in one of the flex, not over Quentin Johnston, baby? Um, yeah, that's tough, man. I mean, in an 8-team league, these are all very close decisions. Um, the Giants have given up the fewest fantasy points to tight ends. I don't know how much we want to read into that, but it's a real thing. I'll say it this way, and Kate Otten's a little bit different, but Mike Evans is back, but Kate Otten is still like he's been a flexible tight end. Um, but in general, I'm gonna flex Dobbins and Johnson because I'm gonna flex running backs and wide receivers over tight ends. I know we've gotten some really good play out of tight ends the past couple weeks. Disley, Johnny Smith, who's seen Kate Otten do stuff before the bye week. Um, I I still prefer to start running backs and wide receivers if I can. Makes it tough. That's an 8-team league there, though. Michael, thank you for another super chat. In PPR, start White or Irving or both and put Bowers in tight end. So I need a flex and tight end. Man. I mean, yeah, we talked about Rashad White and Bucky Irving just a few minutes ago. Like RB28, RB29, like these guys are super close to one another. And the past 4 games have been super close overall. I do think you can start both of them. And I mean, who is Bowers replacing at tight end? That's my question. So you just need one flex and tight end? I think I mean, okay, obviously I want to start Bowers at tight end. I'm just wondering if he's replacing another tight end and you were flexing. Oh, you got Hawkinson? Yeah, I'd okay, I'll say it this way. If you can start Bucky, White, and Bowers and bench Hawkinson, then do that. I don't feel great about Hawkinson. We talked about him earlier on the stream. So if you can bench Hawkinson, do it. I don't like his matchup. He hasn't been on the field for 50% of the snaps in a single start this year. He played well against the Jags. The Jags are one of the worst teams against tight ends. So other than that, he hasn't done anything. So yeah, I try to go Bucky, White, and Bowers. Is that possible? Am I reading that right? Let me know, man. And thank you for the super chat. Benching Hawkinson. Okay, good. Yeah, yeah. For sure. If this was my roster, I would bench Hawkinson for sure. Just try to be careful, guys. I know Hawkinson has um like high projections. Like I think his projection on sleeper is like 9 points, which is like more than a lot of tight ends out there. Once again, he has not been on the field for 50% of snaps in a single start this year. Played well against the Jags, hasn't done anything since. So this is an awful matchup against the Bears. What about Goddard, Nick Westbrook-Keeney, or Disley? I do like Disley a lot, man. This could be very close here. I would start Goddard. He made the must start video for a reason. The Rams have really struggled against tight ends. So, and Devonta Smith is out. I'll go Goddard still, man. Could be close though. Don't be surprised. Jeremy, 8-man league dilemma. Knicks love Kyler. Whew. Man, overall, I like Bo Nix the best out of this bunch this week. Call me crazy. The Raiders giving up the 25th most points to quarterbacks. The Niners are giving up the 7th fewest for Jordan Love. And Kyler does have a good matchup, and I do really like Kyler. I think he's like very borderline must start every week. I think it's very difficult to bench Kyler. So, and he does have a good matchup, but the Seahawks are still giving up the 16th fewest. Like they're kind of right there in the middle, and then we're gonna get rain in that game. So, call me crazy, Jeremy. I'm going Bo Nix here. 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs of flex. We got AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Mike Evans, CMC, Kyron Tracy. Who sits? Worried about Kyron's matchup. First thing that comes to mind here. So you got to start AJ, got to start DK, flex Evans, start CMC, start Kyron. Yeah. Now, the only other argument here is Evans' first game back from injury or CMC maybe like a lower ceiling day because the offense struggles because they have a backup quarterback. So there are arguments here. But off the top of my head, yeah, I agree. I would bench Kyron out of this bunch. Tough. Jason, what's up, bro? Will you start Ertz or Shoemaker? I'm already starting Commanders, D, and Kicker and Eckler. I didn't want to start 4 Commanders. My only other option is Robinson to replace Eckler to avoid the 4. Nah, I mean, listen, try not to overthink this. The 4 best starts on the season that you can make here are Ertz, Commanders defense, Eckler, and Austin Siebert. So start those 4 guys. Don't overthink it. Don't. If Ertz was on a different team, you'd be start if Ertz and Eckler were on different teams and had the numbers that they're putting up ranked where they are, you would be starting them. So don't overthink it. Just start those guys. Jason needs upside. Would you start AR, Tua, or Caleb? Not Caleb. I mean, my gut reaction is Anthony Richardson, but he still holds plenty of risk here. Plenty of risk. Tua's the floor. Anthony Richardson is the upside play. I wouldn't start Caleb though. Thank you, Chelsea. Just seen Braden Smith, Denver safeties on the injury report. I guess we'll have to wait and see if he plays or not. Gerard, Kyler, and Nix. Got a couple these tonight. I'll just say this much. I like Kyler a lot this week, but he is playing in the rain. It's kind of a Seattle's 16th against quarterbacks. I still really like Kyler, but it's, it's just kind of, there's some factors here. So I'll take Bo Nix against the Raiders. It's a better matchup. Need a wide receiver in a flex. Downs, Ridley, Jennings, White. I would start Downs. I do like Ridley this week, and I do still like Jennings. Like, I think he's startable, but if it was my lineup, I would go Rashad White against the Giants and Josh Downs against the Lions. Good. Those are the best matchups here. Michael, good luck this week. All right, guys, we'll start to wrap up over the next couple minutes. So if you guys need anything, be sure to throw it in here. I still got to get everything together for tomorrow morning's video, film it, and edit it. So we've got an hour and a half. Kind of caught up with the chat here. Andrea, Daniels or Kyler? I mean, it's very close once again. I like JD5 this week. I'm rolling with them. I think he's going to bounce back. He's faced Pittsburgh and Philly, 2 tough matchups. Good matchup this week against the Cowboys. Coming off of 2 losses. Commanders at home. I'm going JD5. Dallas struggles against the run. I think he's going to bounce back, run the football, throw the football. But both are good starts. All right, Sport Dog, 8-team Superflex. I'm starting Herbert over Love with Purdy out. Should I rethink my QB, start or leave it alone? Start Herbert. Yeah, start Herbert. Great start. I mean, I like Jordan Love, but the Niners still giving up the 7th fewest fantasy points to the quarterback position. And yeah, Herbert's just in such a good spot. He's throwing the football a ton. Primetime game. They're at home. The Ravens have struggled against the quarterback position. I mean, there's really nothing to not like here. The Ravens are giving up the 30th most points to quarterbacks. Go Herbert. Isn't Seattle a dome? Isn't it? I think you're right. But hold on. Because usually it shows on the weather report. No, I guess it's not. It's not. It's not. Yeah, it shows every other. Yeah, it shows all the dome. We got a lot of dome stadiums this week. Texans, Colts, Raiders, Rams, Chargers. But yeah, not the Seahawks. Tua or Geno? I will go Tua, but close. Don't particularly love either this week, but I'll go Tua. Have a good night, Andrea. Good to see you. Jelly of the month, 8-3, lost Godwin and Hunt. Why'd you lose Hunt? Trade Daniels and Roshan to 5-16 for either Higgins or BTJ. The team has 7 guys on bye, needs a win. You got Kyler. I'd rather get Higgins because he's a part of the better offense. So if you're going to do the trade, I'd get Higgins. Good to see you, bro. Opponent has JSN. Don't worry about that. Just go with the better play, but I go Tua. I did move Will Disley tight end. Thank you for telling me I make good sense. Yeah, tough choices this week, bro. Tough choices. Sut Chase. Bench 1. Tank, Debo, Irving. Tank for sure. Tank Bigsby, Tank Dell. I don't care which one it is. Bench him. Bench him. Bad matchup for Tank Dell. That's who I think it is here. 7 or plus targets the last 2 games. No double-digit performances in those last 2 games. Bench Tank Dell. Debo at least still has upside. Bucky Irving, good matchup. Irving is the most startable player here in my mind. But yeah, I go Debo and Irving for sure. I know Debo, yeah, we got backup quarterback, all that stuff, but yeah, still going Debo here. Glad you caught us at the end of the stream here, Chase. All right, guys, if you need anything, I will be clearing all comments on all the videos. I know I'm way behind, but you guys can drop me a comment. I'll get back to you guys before kickoff tomorrow. And we will have a video dropping first thing in the morning. So make sure you guys are staying posted and check out the video when it drops. We have plenty of content. We have everything you could literally possibly need on the channel this week. So make sure you guys check out all the content on the channel. Go drop a like, go drop a comment, helps us out. Do all that stuff. Check out the links down below, and we'll get a video out first thing in the morning for you. Miami or Broncos defense? I like the Broncos defense slightly more. I'll go with the Broncos defense. Which kicker rest of the season, Boswell or Siebert? I mean, before Siebert got hurt, they were neck and neck. So I think you could go either way. I'll go Boswell by a hair. I know he missed a kick and it was a snow game. Like if he made that kick, he would have had 10 points. But yeah, I like Boswell slightly more because the Steelers are like one of these teams that kind of stall drives and like get in field goal range. And I feel like the Commanders score more, although they have in the past 2 weeks, but it's super close. Like I said, before Seaver got hurt, they were neck and neck QB or running. My gosh, kicker 1 and 2. Jeez. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head where they rank in Pete's video, but Pete ranked every kicker this week on the kicker video. Lucius already 10-1, sitting in for playoffs, 3 wide receiver PPR league. Would you drop Pearsall to pick up Corum? No, I keep Pearsall personally. In a 3 wide receiver league, I keep Pearsall instead of trying to pick up a handcuff. But I mean, if you're like loaded at wide receiver, you could get Corum too. So I think it's going to make or break your season. But in 3 wide receiver, I prefer a shot at a wide receiver, even if it takes it. Like I'd rather have a handcuff wide receiver, so to speak. Jay Dollars, Aaron Jones or Rashad White? Rashad White against the Giants. Good matchup for sure. Jones hasn't been so good the last 2 weeks. I'll go Rashad White for sure. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for the fantasy questions tonight. Thank you guys for allowing me to try and help you guys. Hopefully, gave you guys some good advice tonight. Check out all the videos on the week. Got all kinds of content. We're going to have all kinds of content going into week 13 as well. So make sure you guys are checking out the content. Go drop me a comment. Go drop a like, and I'll answer all the comments before kickoff tomorrow. But great stream tonight. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you guys for all the fantasy questions. And that is going to do it for tonight. Everyone have a great weekend. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I will talk to you guys soon. With that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, saw it here on The Catch. And peace.